Hello everyone, this is Terrence of the TSKJesusFree.com. In this video I'm going to talk about a little bit about the whole issue of free speech and YouTube and Twitter and on the blah blah blahs, all the social media platforms. Now here's my stance. They are the owners, operators of the operators of Facebook, the operators like Facebook, Google, and Twitter, and all that stuff, and Patreon. The reason why I'm talking about this is because Patreon is just deplatformed Sargon of Akkad, which I don't agree with, and everybody says they don't necessarily agree with him, but they're like respecting his right to create content and to make a living off of it, basically commentating on news. That's what it essentially boils down to. And so I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon of protecting him and his right to free speech and all that stuff. But yeah. So the issue that the primary issue that I would be I'm more concerned about the cultural issue than the legal issue, because there's a legal precedent, or whatever it's called. There's a legal, because of the First Amendment, and the court's been through this like a million times over in terms of like freedom of speech, and so if you have a company and you should, I'm coming from a more of a property rights perspective here. And so, yes, YouTube has a right to kick off anyone they want. Yes, Twitter has a right to kick off anyone they want. Patreon has that right too. And Google has whatever on the other stuff that they do. And so, yes, in terms of property rights, yes, I will protect their right to do stupid stuff, okay? Patreon is doing stupid stuff right now, okay? I don't like it, but it is what it is, and so that leads into the question. As for me, I'm a patron on. I used Patreon over the years, and so actually the first Patreon that I've ever subscribed to was this guy who does videos on whatchamacallit, what was it? I think it was Cold Fusion or whatever. I think it was Cold Fusion, and that was when I subscribed to him. I subscribed to him at under $100,000. No. I sub him below 100,000 subscribers, not $100,000. But so at 100,000 subscribers, I was like one of those first 100,000 subscribers, and I donated to his calls or whatever per month. He did a monthly thing, not a per video thing. And to be fair and to be honest, it is so much easier to do a monthly subscription than a paid by content subscription. But yeah, so that in that case, yeah. So he had a subscription based model on Patreon. I'm sure he's doing fine even with because he has more of a and he was more of a, if he was the type of person that was going to do different things, he was more of a historical type of channel. Let's look into this particular technological revolution, he was more historical based, which I liked at that time. And I still like history based, but I have since unsubscribed to his channel and unpatronized him. I did do it for a little bit, but I used to be very, very pro. You should put your stuff on Patreon. But now, not anymore. Not anymore. Because anything could be theoretically controversial. Anything could be theoretically controversial, or or you can say something out of context, like what Sargon of Akkad did. Even though I wouldn't necessarily agree, I wouldn't necessarily say those specific words. I I try not to say the F-bomb. I try not to say the S-bomb. I try not to say particular words because I'm a Christian, and so. But I'm very pro freedom and pro individual rights of like property rights and self ownership rights and contract rights. That's kind of where I fall into in terms of that. And I do have to point out that obviously, this is just secondary issues, like, and so like Christ is always on top. But in terms of like freedom of expression, because as a Christian, I want to be able to have the ability to preach the gospel, and my brothers and sisters in Christ to preach the gospel. So in order for us to preach the gospel, there's got to be some kind of freedom of speech. And so it's nice to have a country that has the First Amendment and the Second Amendment as to protect the First Amendment. But that's a whole side issue. But in terms of people going to on these platforms, yes, those platforms has the right to kick people off based off of property rights. That's how I look at it. And so yes, it's their right to kick off anybody else, but anybody they want for whatever reason they want. The issue I have is they should not do that, okay? They should not do that because you get into grayer and grayer territories where now everybody on Patreon, even the non-political stuff on Patreon, are kind of freaking out because Sargon of Khan was kicked off, so which makes a whole bunch of people. He was bringing in over $12,000 a month. He was living off of $12,000 a month. That's crazy. That is crazy, and that's like the UK. So, that's in our dollars. So $12,000 dollars to pounds. Enter. Yes, I'm looking this up right now. So he's making a little bit over £9,000. Yeah, give or take with the fees and all that. Well, that might be net. I don't know. But £9,000. So 9,000. Let's just do £9,500. Times 12 months. So he's making over £100,000, and so in the UK pound system or whatever, or he might be using the euro. I don't know. Whatever, doesn't matter. So he's making a lot of money. He has a 6-figure salary basically. I had to do the conversion of like, is it really? Does he have an actual 6-figure salary in his dollar? But anyways, so yeah, that is the case, and I don't like it when like tech companies and just companies in general like say that, like, especially with social media platforms, like I take the approach of like in terms of freedom of speech, I take the secular talks viewpoint on this particular issue. I don't take all his viewpoints because he's a progressive, and I fall into the camp of voluntarism, even though I don't describe myself as a voluntarist. I have voluntarist leanings, but not voluntarist anymore, because Jesus is way better than that. So Jesus is like way on top, and then sea level is voluntarism, and then everything else is like below the sea level. But anyways, that's a different discussion. But in terms of like secular talk, Kyle of secular talk, he has it like you don't slander, you don't dox, and you don't do direct threat of violence. If you do those three, If you do not do those three, he's like, fine, go ahead, say whatever you want to say. Be a Nazi, be whatever, the whatever-isms out there. And so, yeah, so like freedom of speech is a really, really big issue with me. And yes, and the reason, and this kind of ties into the whole censorship type of thing that's going on from YouTube, because YouTube is becoming more and more corporate. Obviously, it's a corporate since the get-go, because technically it's a corporation. Right when it gets chartered, basically, in the most technical sense. But in terms of the culture of YouTube, the culture of YouTube wasn't so much as a corporate culture where everything is polished, and this is why I like doing these type of videos on the fly, so to speak, because I don't want to have polished material. Sure, if I'm paying for a movie, I'll pay a movie, but like I don't want to be fed polished. Like some of the subscriptions I have, some of them are too polished, and I don't really like that. I don't like the whole perfection game or whatever. Yeah, sure, do your best, but at the same time, if you ramble on like what I'm doing right now about this stuff or whatever, then like I know the YouTube algorithm is, I don't really care how many subscribers I get. Okay, if I currently have 15 subscribers, I used to have like 5 subscribers. Well, I know back in the day, I think it tapered off. Well, because back in the day, like back in 2014 or 15 or whatever, I had a whole bunch of videos that I had, and I just private listed all the videos like a couple years ago. So like in 2013, 14, 15, I was making like videos like kind of constantly. Now I'm just gonna have fun with this. Like I was being very, very serious. Like I was in a suit. It was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. But I was trying my best to be the best quote YouTuber, and that was because I was a performance type of person. Okay, so I was a performance type of person. I tried my best. I looked everything as a performance indicator. But now, I really don't care. I don't care about, I still have something else. I don't want to show up. But, I still don't care about, like, the suit and looking nice and all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, I really don't care, okay? I'm in a stage of my life now that it's more about the time and am I having fun, okay? So which is why I like photography, because photography to me is another extension of my other job, so to speak, in terms of listening to things I can do. I'm listening to whatever I'm listening to. Like, I think I was, like, listening to 1,000 Foot Krutch or something, or Pillar, or War of Ages or something like that, while I was doing some landscape photography in the Twin Cities, because I live in the Twin Cities. But there goes my headphones. But anyways, so yeah, freedom of speech must be protected as a culture, and the whole aspect of culture needs to be pro freedom of speech. Not necessarily just the legal system needs to be pro freedom of speech. Obviously, it does need to be pro freedom of speech as laws are made and created or whatnot, which I don't like laws, but I don't like 99% of them. But yeah, so like laws, like the legal system must be for freedom of speech, with an exception of doxing. What's the other one? And then doxing. Oh my goodness. Anyways, freedom of speech as a culture needs to be up front and very important issue, because if you take away the extremists out in the fringes of society, it gets closer and closer and closer, and then you can't do really much of anything. So that's why this is a big deal. And it kind of all started with the adpocalypse of a few years ago, back in 2013, 2014. And it kind of started with the Nazis and their stuff. And then it kind of spilled eventually over to today, where Sargon of Akkad, who is a center left person, who so he's a center left person, and he's too right wing. Okay, that's how far the left of America and the left of the British system has gone so far left that it just basically left liberalism. And so, yeah, it's just, it is what it is. So, and then the thing is, the sad thing about this whole thing is that Sargon of Akkad did not get a warning, okay? He got a flat out ban, like right away, and that's like, you're not giving anyone any slack. Like, that's why Patreon is, there's a lot of people are leaving, and I'm gonna soon be leaving Patreon, hopefully sooner than later, but because I have this one Patreon that I'm supporting a content creator that is kind of reluctant to ditch the platform, and I really like his content, so I value his content more. I hate Patreon, so that's why I'm still on Patreon. But as soon as he leaves, he's like, yes, I'm out of here, I'm gonna delete my account, and blah blah blah. And yes, I did try to do some Patreon stuff, but whatever. Like, I was being too serious about it. And this is a 20-minute video, man. This is gonna be a 20-minute video, or maybe not even 20 minutes. Anyways, freedom of speech must be protected in culture. So that is my 17+ minute rant about freedom of speech. Goodbye.